Welcome to Media Dialogues with Storyboard 18, where we decode the biggest shifts in business, brands and marketing. Today, we focus on the transformation of India's banking sector with Kotak Mahindra Bank's bold new vision. Joining us are Rohit Bhasin, CMO, and Kedarswamy Ravangave, EVP of Marketing, to discuss how Kotak is evolving beyond traditional banking, championing ambition, trust, and digital-first innovation. From the philosophy behind the new campaign to redefining financial services marketing, let's dive into how Kotak is reshaping the future. Hello and welcome to the studio, gentlemen. It's great to have you both here with me today. Consumers, aspirations, everything is changing. Access is changing. We were talking about that a little earlier as well. Now, within this massive transformation taking place, where do you see Kotak and where do you see Kotak Mahindra Bank's story fitting in? Just give me a little bit of a sense from you on that.
So thanks Delshad for having me and having both of us here today. So for us, it's been a transformational year. You're aware of that. We had a change in leadership. We're looking at the bank's a very new bank, if you think of it, 23 years in existence. In the history of Indian banking, I think that's kind of new. And we are ourselves scripting what is the next 20 years of the bank going to be. And in that direction, what we want to talk to you about today is what is the new brand philosophy and the brand proposition that we're trying to adopt. But I think to answer your question, the more fundamental thing is, I think banking in the past used to be more transactional, just about money. I think the bigger role that it is playing and it has to play is how is it becoming more relevant in the lives of people in helping them achieve their aims and aspirations. So from the point of money just being about the need to I have dreams, and if I have the backing, I can bring those dreams to life, and how can banking play a bigger role in doing that. It's more about fulfilling aspirations is where I think the whole banking is shifting from being transactional to being more life-changing, is the way I see it.
Which brings me, of course, to the genesis of this new brand philosophy approach. Kedar, let me ask you this: what were some of the insights? Get a little deeper into some of the insights informing this new approach. We spoke about aspirations. We spoke about this new emerging class of Indians, which is raring to go. Dig a little deeper into the insights that were really informing this.
I think, first of all, I'm very fortunate that I got into this journey, and this is a journey that I think Rohit and team kind of started on much early. And Rohit, chime in and add wherever you can. I think there were a few things that were there. One was, if you look at the overall story in India and the way Indians are feeling or things are changing, I think there's a very firm belief that it's our decade. And as I keep saying this, whenever you go to a college or talk to anyone in the college, you hardly say them saying that, okay, I want a good job. MNCs are dated now and they really want to start something of their own. And it stems from a strong belief within that we have arrived and there's something that we can really do. And in that journey, while you want to achieve your dreams, there is a belief that you can have your own audacious dreams and achieve it. There's also vulnerability. And that vulnerability is really about, while you do that, you need partners. And partners, whether emotional partners, whether they are financial partners, or people whom you could partner with on your functional expertise. And I think that's the space that we realized that is something that you could probably take up. And if you see where banks are shifting is that banks for too long have operated into an eligibility space. Either eligible to a loan, eligible to being part of a program, so on and so forth, to banks which are now going to be about possibilities. So, and the moment you change that reference from eligibility to possibility, there comes the role of a bank, there comes the role of an institution, which is here to really help you back what you're really trying to achieve.
Rohit, anything to add on that?
Yeah, so, when we started this journey, one question that we were trying to answer is, what does the Kotak brand stand for? And to do that, we went back into our roots, because that's where you really, while we'd kind of become a very inclusive brand, but somewhere we'd kind of lost a bit of the financial expertise that the brand had always stood for. We went back into the roots and we realized that that was what was the core DNA of the brand. It was, they built this financial institution, this bank from his own story. He was a guy who kind of had nothing and he built into this big organization, audacious dreams, and had someone to back those audacious dreams and build the brand and build the bank. And somewhere we saw that was really the core DNA of the bank. When we went and understood this further, we actually see the three types of Indians, as I call them. There is the common man for whom the security of money is the most important thing. And there is the arrived who's kind of made enough money. It's all about wealth creation and legacy planning. But there is this huge belly of India, which I call the aspiring Indian. And this is, as I call the Indian who's out there to re-script the story of his or her life. And doesn't matter from what station does he or she come from. She fundamentally believes in her own potential and this growth story called India. What has happened in the last 10 years is given Indians the confidence that they can dare to dream, and it's not just about dreaming, but actually have the conviction to fulfill those dreams. But what they really need is a partner, someone who can back them in this journey. And that is where we felt that our role could uniquely come, because that was really what was in our DNA. And I define this person, the words that Kedar used, is the person who has this ho jayega attitude. It doesn't matter, where I come from, doesn't matter whether I have access to those resources or not. And it is a mindset. It's not a mindset only to someone who doesn't have resources. Whether you're the son of a cab driver, or you could be amongst the richest people in India. You have your dreams, and each of those dreams needs a backing to help you achieve those dreams. And that is where we said Kotak can play a role in the lives of these customers. And that is where our philosophy and our proposition of Hausla hai to ho jayega. If you have the courage to dream, we will be the people to back you. We will be the harness which will kind of back you to help you achieve your dreams. And what this helps us to do is three things. The first thing is, become more relevant to our customers, to be able to build more trust and love. Secondly, if you really see Kotak as a group, it's not just a bank. It spreads across various financial products. If we sell insurance, we sell investments, we sell broking. We have a B2B side on investment banking, capital markets. How do we make 1 + 1 = 11? And how do we bring in one unifying idea that brings the whole brand and the whole group together? And if we can do that, can we actually give our employees a unifying purpose that gets them out of their bed every morning and come to work? And that is where Hausla to Ho Jayega actually brings it all together. I don't want to be a person who just sells loans. I don't want to go back home in the night if my wife asks me, what do you do today? I approved 2 credit card applications, or I kind of sold 2 loans. I want to go and tell her that I helped many people achieve their dreams, because that is what makes it more satisfying and liberating for me to kind of come and work at this institution every day. So that is really those 3 things about, having a unifying purpose that excites our customers, unifies that with our employees, and builds the whole group under one umbrella was what we were trying to achieve. And that's where we are.
The broad brand philosophy and the approach. Shed some light, Kedar, for me on how is that going to translate across some of the key touch points? How do you take that from this idea, this notion, this philosophy to something that's more tangible and affects every aspect of the business and your objectives for this approach?
Yeah. So I think one thing we were very clear that we are here to change mindsets. And this wasn't an exercise of rebranding by any means. This was really about rethinking the mindsets, or changing the mindsets. And when you're trying to change mindsets, it's a multi-year journey that you're on to. And if you look at it fundamentally, mindsets are changed not by branding ambitions, by really fulfilling the ambition. And as you start fulfilling the ambitions is when you start becoming a part of that culture. And the role that we play in becoming that culture is by orchestrating, giving engineering moments that drive action and conversations. And when you assume your role to be about creating these moments and creating these platforms for them, then you're just fueling conversations. So, and those conversations need to be then fueled both internally and externally. As you think of it, the way we are doing internally, I think there are very, very unique and peculiar things about Kotak. something which we take great pride in. Things like we do have our DNA, we do have our anthem, and we do sing our anthem every day. For us, really, that reminds us our role. That also reminds us what we do for the consumers. So we've kind of launched internally a new anthem sung by Shankar and Neha Bhasin, and it's a beautiful anthem. It just is in current time, so it's played every morning, and then you really are reminded about it.
This is revamped on the old anthem, built on it. Okay.
So it's just a reflection of the new mindset that we want to bring in, and a great tool, by the way, something that I hadn't seen and something that I'm learning here. It's a great tool of just resetting your mindset. Then there are a lot of rewards and recognitions platforms that are there internally, which are again getting rewired to Hausla. We're also creating a lot of platforms internally for employees to come and share their stories, which is Hausla Talks, and I'll talk about that a little later. So that's what we're trying to do internally. Externally, I think we are not about splurging money. We are not about spending big money, but it's not an era where you take a microphone and go to a big stadium, but it's about going and whispering into your consumers' ears on what you really mean and what you want them to do. So I think that's the approach that we have when we are thinking about a touch point. It's really a through the funnel marketing approach, a very, very new age approach where you assume the journey to be from top funnel to the end conversion, and then cater to it. So it's a very customer centric approach of being at the touch point where it matters. And there's a huge strength that the bank has. There are a lot of branches, there are a lot of ATMs, there are a lot of branches with digital out of homes on it. So that's a big asset that the organization has built. We're also kind of leveraging that in a very, very programmatic way today. So yeah, so it's a very, very exciting mix that you'll see, and hopefully it reaches you in your journey.
Maybe how this philosophy will in a way fuel more innovation at the bank. How are you looking at that? Because we're seeing, of course, this massive sort of tech infusion in all aspects of our lives, and of course you have the legacy, the established players in the space, in the financial services industry. You also have this emerging class of major fintechs. So tell me a little bit about how you maybe view this philosophy fueling innovation for the firm as well.
Sure. So we still haven't launched. This is the stage one of this campaign, and this next stage will come very shortly. But I want to talk to you about how this has helped us build more relevant innovations, more relevant products and propositions for our customers. Now, take an example. When it comes to a business banking customer, one of the big insights that we saw was that all of us are salaried consumers, but a business banking consumer, guy who runs his business, he's constantly fighting the battle between glory and obscurity. If he is successful, his entire glory is his, and he would have really built something of his own for his team. But if he fails, the world won't even remember him. How can you partner him in his journey to help him grow his business? And once we asked that question, we said that three things that he really is looking for. First is guidance. In many cases, he doesn't have anyone to discuss, how do I do this in my business? If I'm not understanding something, how can someone help me? The second thing was all about networking and mentorship. If he's a person in one part of the country trying to run a business, how does he get access to a network where many people can buy his products and he can get connection with that? And the third is reward and recognition. How many times, we work at corporates, and at the end of every year we have an appraisal, and people, who appraises this guy? What is his reward? When was the last time you heard of a small and medium SME guy being recognized for what he's created? So we're building a business club which will provide mentorship, guidance, and reward and recognition to this entrepreneur. The other thing you realize is in many of the cases for a business banking, small and SME, small and medium enterprise, he might suddenly get a big business opportunity, and he needs access to money fast. He doesn't have like a very steady cycle of payments. He wants a bank who can actually help him when he has a need rather than when the bank wants to lend. So we thought of a proposition, a product where we can give him higher ad hoc limits to really help him take advantage of that opportunity when it kind of strikes him. So that's like an example that, that kind of came from this whole idea of how can we help a small business owner achieve his audacious dreams. You know, a second example I'll give to you on how it's fueled innovation. You know, all of us, for us, are salaried people. Our salary is both our bane and boon. You know, we're kind of defined by a salary. But what happens if you don't get your salary? If I can help you earn a second source of income that, you know, that gets you out of the freedom of not having to worry about your salary, can I build an investment plan which can help you do that? You know, take a credit card idea. You know, again, from our personal experience, we get access to benefits at work, but our family doesn't get access to those benefits. You know, can I build a card for my customers where the family gets the same benefits because of me? So, you know, coming from this whole space and coming from rich insights, deep-rooted insights, visceral insights about our customers, it has helped us build our innovation pipeline. And that's what we're going to launch very soon, to build more relevant and customized and targeted products to really meet the needs of this aspiring Indian.
Of course, this campaign was described as just the beginning. So what's next? You gave us a little bit of a, you know, peek into the innovation pipeline and what you're thinking in terms of, you know, planning this out. But a little bit more, you know, a sneak peek into what's next after this, which is just the beginning, like you mentioned.
Yeah, so we've built we're building an IP called Hausla Talks. I'll let Kedar talk a bit about that. So this first campaign talks about what does the brand want to stand for. You know, so it lands the philosophy. The next stage of the campaign is what are the tools, how do I actually deliver the empowerment to the customers to help them achieve their dreams, you know, whether it's for a business owner, whether it's for a salaried person, whether it's for, you know, someone, how do I really make my products become the hero to live up to the aims and aspirations, to deliver to the aims and aspirations. So the next stage will be real product stories, bringing them alive in lives of customers. So that's what's going to happen in stage 2. The other thing that we also tried to do, and you know, if you see the ad, what we really realized that you know, brands over time get built by distinct visual icons and identity. And we asked ourselves the question that if we don't write Kotak, what would be that symbol which will actually, you know, consumer sees that and say, yeah, I recognize this brand. And most successful brands get built not just by the imagery of the text, but also the visual imagery of a sign or a symbol that defines the brand. And there are various examples, you know, the swoosh of Nike, you know, is like one of my favorite examples. So we went on that journey and said, can we build a visual property for Kotak? And we went again to the roots and saw that our infinity symbol, which is the K in Hindi or the infinity symbol in English, is really a unique part of our logo. But we kind of have never used it is like that. So we kind of brought it out. And if you really see, even in the film, we've made these infinity glasses, right, which the crazy dreamers, they see their dreams through those glasses. And finally, the last protagonist hands it on to a kid that if you also dare to dream, these are the... So basically building that as a visual element, and you will see that whether it's our above the line communication, every piece of touch point, the way our branches are built, even building an ATM in the shape of the infinity symbol is what is the whole idea of really building a consistent visual identity on the brand, which not only looks consistent, but also stands and defines the whole idea of aspirations and aims and dreams, because infinity means infinite dream and infinite courage. So that's the other thing that we're trying to really start with this campaign and then build it over time. So that's really the overall plan as we go from phase 1 to phase 2 and to eternity.
But if you could tell us a little bit about Hausla Talks, because it's a key part, that content piece, like you mentioned in that funnel, you know, from top to sort of that last mile. How does that content piece and those IPs play out?
Yeah, I think I spoke a little about how our role is to really create platforms where, you know, you're enabling people to have conversations or even fueling some of them. And one such attempt was in the larger direction is really to redefine the way content is done in BFSI. It's a little dated, boring, and then you want to make it more lifestyle. And as you think of it, the reason why you want to make it lifestyle is also you want to be part of the new age culture. And when we looked at Hausla Talks, what was staring at us was there were a lot of stories, untold stories about consumers that Kotak has really enabled, and there were so many of them, and such beautiful stories, like from a farmer who was just could not afford a tractor to finally owning up a 100-acre land and now being an entrepreneur on a e-com site, to a lot of people who could get their dreams done, whether it was a startup to getting kids into education, so on and so forth. And we thought it's a great way of bringing this to the forefront. These stories haven't been told for over 2 decades, and that's when we've created a platform, an IP called Hausla Talks. So Hausla Talks is an IP by Kotak. It's being produced and developed in-house under Kotak Studios. So you'll see a lot of these stories come through, successful entrepreneurs, consumers, so on and so forth that are there, and would appeal to all our consumers to come and share their stories so that we can host them. But yeah, it's an IP that we're launching now, and you'll see the first episodes come through in a week's time.
Fascinating. So many interesting stories, like every day that we hear. But my final question to both of you, given your background, of course, FMCG, e-com, how does that help? Any sort of learnings that you've gathered from your FMCG days that you're applying now in financial services?
Yeah, so when I started working, it's now been about 2 years since I started working at Kotak, and it's been an amazing experience. But the first thing that struck me, Delshad, was banks have a very supply side of thinking. So you would start with a spreadsheet saying, the other bank has got 5 features, my product has got 10 features. Now these are 10 features. Let me go and find a customer to whom I can sell it. Versus the demand side of thinking is that start with the customer first and define what are his or her needs, and how do you build a differentiating proposition that can actually answer those needs. I think my fundamental 25-year-old journey in my previous company just taught me about starting with the consumer first rather than starting with what I have to sell. And that is the big shift that we've tried to build at Kotak, bring in that consumer centricity in everything we do. Whether it's building an app, whether it's building a credit card, whether it's building any products, start with the customer, start with understanding his or her needs, and then ask the question, okay, how do I now build a product, a proposition which will answer his or her needs? Then ask the question, is it different than competition? Because if it's not different than competition, it won't sell. And then come to the marketing space and saying, how do I now build an amazing piece of communication which is rooted in a strong insight that will really drive awareness of this product. So that's the fundamental shift. And then we got Kedar join us a few months back, who kind of comes from a more modern marketing, worked most of his time at Amazon, in the e-com space. And we said, now can you bring in the learning that you've done in the digital space, in the new age of marketing space, and take this function to the next level.
Absolutely. And Kedar, of course, you were on the founding marketing team at Amazon. So, and about 6 months here in your journey. What is the key learning that you've brought to this role and to Kotak?
Yeah, I think with Rohit, we have a very strong foundation of building brand in the long term, right? And someone who really keeps us sane. What I bring in is really a lot of data-driven, agile way of driving things. It's just the way the consumer journeys have evolved and understanding how consumers operate on digital. I think that's one piece which is probably a very, very recent phenomena that many marketers are still trying to decode in India. And I think my previous stint allowed me to kind of build that in India and not just understand it, but also shape that in India in many ways. So I think that's one piece. The second thing is there, I think traditionally we've all struggled driving causality to what we drive in marketing. And being able to shape that up and build a lot of systems to be able to get correlation and causality to whatever you put on marketing is another muscle that I think is very, very important in the current times, because where there are almost clicks to everything and you know what is happening, to other end of the spectrum where you're doing long-term brand building, you need to have models defined and build them. So I think that's another piece that I see that can be really woven into the playbooks for BFSI at large. And Lastly, I think customer centricity is what Rohit spoke about.
Right.
Customer centricity truly across everything that you do, and what does it really mean, and how do you use different tools to be able to driving that, not just in the marketing side of things, but also on the product and large distribution side of it is what it is. But I think I'm going to learn a lot more than contribute.
But thank you so much for your time. It was great chatting with you both. Thank you.
Thank you, Dilshad.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us here.